Lesson 3-1, decimals through 10 thousandths. In this lesson, you learn to model, read, and write decimals. Let's close our eyes and then open them, and then close them as fast as you can. So what you have done is you just model what happens when a camera takes a picture. Okay, the time a 35 millimeter camera's shutters stays open can range from a second to less than a millisecond. So what is a millisecond? Okay, so a millisecond is 1/1000th of a second. So what are some ways to express 1/1000 or 1/1000th? Okay, so in this case, decimals are another way to write fractions when the denominators are 10, 100, 1000, and so on. We use place value positions to name the decimals. Okay, so let's take a look at this chart down here. Okay. In a decimal, the decimal point separates the ones place and the tens place. The fraction 1/1000 can be written as a decimal 0.001, or in words 1/1000th. Okay, so if you notice, this is an illustration of how the place value system works in decimals. The zero, you know right away, is obviously the ones place. Okay, the decimal or the digit after the decimal is known as the tens place, remember. And if you notice, after the decimal, you have now THS after the word 10. Okay, two digits after the decimal will be our hundredths place. Again, the word hundred, THS, indicates that it's two digits after the decimal. And finally, one will indicate the, you guessed it, thousandths place, again with a THS at the end. Okay, now let's take a look at how we can use a decimal. Okay, using place value. And let's take a look at this example in statistics. Okay. Let's free some memory here. Okay. In statistics, Charmaine asked 100 students at Western Hills Middle School to identify their favorite animal. 42 out of 100, or 42 over 100, said their favorite animal is a dog. Okay, let's model the decimal for 42 over 100. Okay, so to model that, we need to display 42 hundredths blocks. Okay, trade 40 blocks for 4 tenths blocks. So this is how it looks like in there. Display 4200 blocks and trade 40 blocks for 4 tenths blocks. Okay, so if you look at this one, this is a hundredths block, meaning that there are 100 little squares inside this block. And since the decimal, we want to find the decimal of 42 over 100, we shade 42 of the squares inside that block, okay, which is 42 over 100. And that's how you model the decimal 42 over 100. Okay, if we want to write this, okay, in the place value chart, okay, there are 4 tenths and 2 hundredths, okay, in the model. 4 tenths, 2 hundredths in the model. So we write 4 in the tenths place, right there, and this is a 0 because the ones place is 0. Okay, and then 2 in the hundredths place. Okay, so writing this as a decimal, since it is 42 over 100, there are 4 tenths and 2 hundredths. We write 4 in the tenths place and 2 in the hundredths place. Okay, let's take a look at letter C, and we want to write it in words. Okay, so if we want to write it in words, let's take a look at that this decimal. Okay, and let's take a look at the decimal place, or the place value of 2 in 42 over 100. The place value of 2 is in the hundreds place. Okay, notice that the last digit 2 is in the hundreds place. The decimal in words is 42 hundredths. Remember, when you spell this, it's always with the THS. The THS indicates that it's after the decimal. Okay? Let's take a look at another example. Example number 2. In example number 2, we're asked to model, okay, the decimal 3 and 7/10. Oh, sorry, to model decimal 3 and 7/10, that's right. Okay, and we know for a fact that 3 and 7/10 is a mixed number. A mixed number is a combination of a whole number and a fraction, as we found out before. Okay. Letter B, we want to write the decimal in the place value chart. Letter C, write the decimal in words. Let's first display 3 ones and 7 10 blocks. Okay, if we do that, this is how it's going to come out. Let me change that into something else. So we need 3 ones and 7 10 blocks. So we get a block somewhere here. There you go. 2, 3. 1. There you go. So you have 3 ones, 3 whole blocks. That's what it means when it says 3 ones, 3 whole blocks, okay, and 7/10 blocks, meaning we simply shade 7 out of 10, okay, parts of that block. And that's how we display 3 ones and 7/10. Okay. And let me just scroll this down. There we go. Okay, apologize for that one. Okay, and let's take a look at letter B. And letter B, it's asking us what is, sorry, letter B, it's asking us to write K3 in the ones place and 7 in the tens place. Okay, so we know for a fact that we have 3 whole 3 whole blocks and 7/10 of a block. So a 1 whole block represents the ones place. So we write the 3 in the ones place. And since there are 7/10, okay, of a block, we write the 7 in the tens place. Okay, and writing it in words, since 7 is in the tens place, we read this as 37, sorry, 3 and 7/10. Reading the 1 as 3, and your decimal is your end. Okay, so whenever you have the word end in reading decimals, that becomes your decimal points. So this is read as 3 and 7/10 right there. Okay, let's look at example number 3. Okay, and example number 3, we have life science. The egg, okay, of a vervain hummingbird weighs about 128 over 10,000 ounce. Okay, write this fraction as a decimal in the place value chart. Write the decimal in words. So let's do letter A first. It says write this fraction as a decimal in the place value chart. And we know that the denominator is in the thousandths place, 10,000ths place. Therefore, we will place the number 8 into the 10,000ths place. So if we find the 10,000th place in this place value chart, this is the ones place, this is the tenths place, hundredths place, thousandths place, 10,000th place. This is where we are going to write our 8, the 10,000th place. Okay, and from there we simply go backwards. Okay, so after writing the 8, we write the 2 in the thousandths place, and we write the 1 in the hundredths place. Okay, and since there is no more digit before 1, we simply add a 0 to the tens place. Okay, and okay, for all intents and purposes, write a 0 there for the ones place because there are 0 ones. That's how you write 128 over 10,000. Okay, and placing it in the place value chart. Okay. Now in letter B, write the decimal in words. Again, we look at the last digit, which is the number 8. And the number 8 is in the 10,000ths place. So if that's the case, okay, the decimal is 128 10,000ths. Okay? Again, we look at the last digit, find out what place value that is, and then that's how we write our decimal, 128 10,000ths. Okay? And that's it. So after this lesson on Google Forms, type a summary of what you've learned corresponding to the objective of the lesson, and type of question you may want to ask in class about this lesson. Again, let me just remind you that the questions are not optional, they're mandatory. Thank you for listening and watching, and see you next time.